Spy Hop Productions presents A Real Stories 2010 motion picture presentation. Just say no.
I think that it's important for people to be informed, medically informed about their bodies, to have accurate information about what's going on with them. I think that that's almost an undeniable human right, to know what is happening with your body and to know about your health.
Jeff, isn't that Eileen?
It sure is, baby and all.
Gee, I haven't seen her since she left school.
Well, I think it's important because what we're seeing in the young adult population is a bit of an explosion of unwanted teen pregnancies and also STD infections. So I feel like it's really important that kids know how to prevent that kind of thing.
No matter what people think they're going to do to stop it, teenagers are going to have sex. And they're not just going to have sex as teens, but they're going to have sex throughout their life. And if we don't teach healthy relationships and how to stay healthy if you're going to be sexually active, we are going to end up with a lot of sick adults.
I mean, I think it's before the baby comes.
I got together a group of my friends' parents to get their opinion on sex education.
Shake my baby. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that kids learn it from their friends before they learn it at school.
Definitely.
So they already know that side of it. The statistics side of it, they don't know. That's where I think when you bring the statistics in at the school, that's a good thing. Because at least they're getting what is really going on out there in the numbers, and they can compare it to something.
I had to go do research because everything changes so from when I was, so it took a lot of time for me to research what it was I wanted to say and how I wanted to approach it. Where if my children had that background knowledge, we could have started more quickly about the discussion.
How do you talk to your kids or other people about it if you are uncomfortable with it yourself? It's not an easy thing to teach. There's a lot of uncomfortable questions kids have, but if I don't answer them, then they go to the internet or ask their friends, and nobody wants to seem like a sex novice, so people make stuff up, and that's where we get all the urban legend out of sexuality that really probably has no place.
At about 12 and a half, Mary reached puberty. Around this time, she found that her friends wanted to talk about sex.
She opened the door, and there she was lying in bed.
Some of them got most of their information from off-color jokes that they really didn't understand.
But you don't always have a baby when you go overturned. I read in a book that you don't have a baby.
Some of them learned about sex from books. But there were so many things that they didn't know.
If you marry your first cousin, do you have a deformed baby? Does kissing have anything to do, about having babies?
I think it's important in high school because, it is true that kids are getting sexually active early and earlier with each generation, but high school is really when kids are able to understand the information and make smart decisions about what they learn. They'll know how to get to birth control if they know where it is or how to find it or what it will do.
A good comprehensive class talks about healthy relationships, what sexual assault is, how drugs and alcohol affect decision-making ability, what chlamydia is and how to prevent it, what gonorrhea is and how to prevent it, what the impacts are on having a child before you're ready to have a child.
I think it's one of those things, I think you can go up to the kids in their 20s, and I don't mean to call people in their 20s kids, but people in their 20s tend to just kind of, if I don't pay attention to it, it doesn't exist. And that's what we do with a lot of things. A lot of bad things we decide, I'm not going to pay attention to it. The things you don't pay attention to are the things that are dangerous because those are the things you're not going to recognize or be aware of. And I said before, knowledge is power. When you are armed with knowledge that 1 in 5 people in Salt Lake City between the ages of 15 and 25 has an STD, that's pretty powerful stuff. And that's stuff you need to know because you are between 15 and 25. You know, you got to make good conscious decisions. Without good information, you don't make good decisions. And that's true in all walks of life, not just sex ed.
Young people in the process of changing from child to adult. This stage of development, during which the physical changes from child to adult occur, is called puberty. Puberty usually begins at an earlier age in girls than in boys. Most girls enter puberty at about 12 or 13, and most boys at about 14 or 15. Puberty is a very important stage in your lives, and you should fully understand what it means and how it affects your body.
The idea was born in 2008, and Representative Hemingway was one of our endorsed candidates when he ran for office. And I called him out of nowhere and said, hey, I have this idea. It's going to sound crazy, but will you come and meet with me? And he came and met with me in my office, and I said, you know, I really want to run a sex education bill. So the original incarnation of the bill in 2009 was that all we were going to do was remove this line out of state law that said that you could not advocate or endorse the use of contraceptive methods or devices. Well, we just caused a firestorm. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
That was rejected wholeheartedly by the Health and Human Services Committee.
So then in North Carolina, they had run this bill that was this 2-track system where parents could either opt into abstinence-only education or opt into abstinence-based comprehensive sex ed. And I thought, wow, like finally, like it's got something for everyone.
That bill was opposed by a couple of organizations that we couldn't get it by them.
Then that bill became a Senate bill, which was Senate Bill 54, and it was sponsored by Senator Steve Urquhart. He's a Republican from St. George.
So it made it more understandable for teachers that they could talk about condoms and how they prevent STDs without being afraid that they were advocating for its use.
We worked with the PTA, we worked with the Utah Education, or the Board of Education. I even met with some very conservative senators on this, and the Eagle Forum. I mean, obviously, if you're going to do anything in Utah, you need to get it by the Eagle Forum.
I've been up on the Hill lobbying in one capacity or another for 7 years, and I've never seen anything like what happened that day.
Well, when Senator Urquhart got an opportunity to present his bill, the Education Committee, he had made some changes in the bill before it came to committee, so he had to ask someone to move the revised bill.
The room was packed. It wasn't just packed with our folks. We had pediatricians there. We had a nurse from BYU who's been doing research on teen pregnancy in Utah County to testify why this was important.
So one of the committee members would have had to say, I make a motion that we hear this revised bill. Well, the chairman called for a motion to do that, and the room fell dead silent.
And what happened was the Eagle Forum put all this pressure on the committee, and so the committee just remained silent. And I've never seen anything, never. I mean, Senator Urquhart was appalled. I was appalled. Everyone there was appalled. Even the opponents who didn't get to speak were appalled. Like, they wanted to get up and say why this was a really crappy idea. And none of us got to speak.
I remember I came home from school and I read the news online on the Salt Lake Tribune, and I saw that it had been defeated, and I immediately got in contact with my friend Emma Waitsmith. She and I were so upset that it had been just totally killed, not even like vetoed or shot down, but just like no one even wanted to talk about it. So we organized a rally.
We all wrote letters, and then we marched up to the Capitol and left them for the representatives and senators to read when they got back on Monday, because we did it on a Saturday. It was just over 100 teens walking up to the Capitol, chanting about sex education. It was just a really powerful thing.
Well, this isn't over. So, I mean, we probably won't introduce a new bill next year just because we need to see what's going to happen with the elections and with whatever they're doing up there with immigration. There's so many other issues going on. And so this conversation isn't over. and it will continue. And so, you know, we haven't given up yet.
I don't know what it is, but there's something about her you like.
Well, she always looks nice to start with.
Yeah, especially when you compare her with some of the weird characters in this place.
Yoo-hoo!
Jenny thinks that she has the key to popularity, parking in cars with the boys at night. When Jerry brags about taking Ginny out, he learns that she dates all the boys, and he feels less important. What about Ginny? Does that make her really popular?